Uh, Next session is a session that will be led and moderated by the Caribbean Telecommunications Union and Rodney Taylor, the Secretary General of the CTU, will introduce the topic.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the last session, closing off the TTIGF 2025. I'm Rodney Taylor, the Secretary General of the CTU, and a supporter of and a partner of the TTIGF. We're pleased that we have been able to have this session facilitated by the TTIGF, and we think is a very important session with respect to how we can accelerate the involvement of Caribbean ccTLDs, country code top-level domains, within the global ccTLD community. And this is broken down into 3 sessions. First one, I'll be moderating diversity in the Caribbean and Latin America. And we'll have presentations and discussions from the ccNSO, Country Code Name Supporting Organization of ICANN, and Guidelines Review Committee Chair, as well as Dr. Pablo Rodriguez, who is the Vice President of Gauss Research and also a GRC member. Session 2 will look at building a stronger regional community, and that will be operated by His Excellency Patrick Hosein. By the way, congratulations on receiving the highest award of Trinidad and Tobago. I think it's we really ought to celebrate that. It's a tremendous achievement. So congratulations from CTU, and I'm sure from the Trinidad and Tobago IT community. We'll have a few of the ccTLD managers in the Caribbean. We have a representative from Anguilla. As you know, .ai is one of the hottest domains now with the growth and development of artificial intelligence systems. So we're going to be hearing from them. I believe we have Barbados as well. 1 or 2 did not confirm, so I hope I have the up-to-date list. And the last session will be a future collaboration and next steps, chaired by Mr. Tracy Hackshaw from the TTMAG. And Albert Daniels will also be contributing to that discussion on next steps. The whole idea is to promote cooperation between the ccTLD community and helping us to understand how we can leverage the resources within ICANN and how we can build a stronger relationships on the network within the region for the benefit of our collective benefit. So, without further ado, I'm going to invite Mr. Pablo Rodriguez to kick the discussion off with a short presentation to give you further context. He's online joining us from Puerto Rico. Pablo, over to you, please.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure and an honor to be with you. Tremendous pleasure to see so many familiar faces in the audience in Trinidad. Big hug from me in Puerto Rico. And also I'd like to recognize the presence of our ccNSO chair, Alejandra Reynoso, who is based in Spain. She will introduce herself later. I want to take the opportunity to share with you a number of slides, but before we do that, I'd like to also get your feedback. So next slide, please. Let's take out our mobile phones and point our cameras to that QR code. And we would like to know, where are you from? So let's take a couple of minutes to do that. Not a couple of minutes, 20, 30 seconds to do that. And wow, I can see a number of places already. Trinidad, A Coruña in Spain, San Juan, Vancouver, Curacao, Brazil, Port-au-Prince. Fantastic, fantastic. Great. So, as you can see, we come from a number of different places. Perhaps let's move on to the next slide. Thank you. Thank you. As you can see in this slide, ccTLDs represent about 1/3 of the total domain name registrations. However, when you take out .com and .net out of the equation, you can see that 7 out of 10 of the largest 7 out of 10 of the largest TLDs in the world are ccTLDs, and there's a list of them. So we are quite important when it comes to domain name registrations. Next slide, please. So what makes us different? Let me tell you what makes us equal. What makes us equal or similar, the one thing that we have is that we all register domain names in two-character domain names. That's what makes us equal. But what makes us different is that we are based or associated to different ICANN regions, that we have different governance models, different registry models, the number of domain names. Some of us have a few domain names, others will have many, many domain names, especially .ai, and number of employees. That makes us different, right? So that also affects other areas. Next slide, please. So let's just bring home to our region. Our region, the Caribbean region, is comprised of 33 ccTLDs, of which 3 of them are unassigned. 30 of those TLDs are directly related to government. 9 are academia, and 11 are private entities. 18 out of those 30 Caribbean ccTLDs use backend providers. 18 out of 30 of these Caribbean TLDs are members of the ccNSO. 12 out of 30 of the Caribbean ccTLDs are members of LACTLD. And they vary in a wide range of numbers of registrations, as I mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So in this pictorial representation, you can see that the Caribbean TLDs are associated to 3 distinct ICANN regions. Out of the 5 ICANN regions, look at this. 2 TLDs, Caribbean TLDs, are based in the North American ICANN region. 20 are associated to the ICANN Latin American and Caribbean region, and 11 of them are associated to the European ICANN region. Note, please, that the names of the countries that are in bold are members of the ccNSO. With that in mind, next slide, please. I will leave you with the ccNSO chair, Alejandra Reynoso.
Thank you very much, Pablo, and hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here remotely with you and joining you. As Pablo said, my name is Alejandra Reynoso. I am originally from Guatemala, but I do reside in Spain at the moment. So, well, the ccNSO, it's a platform by ccTLDs for ccTLDs where we develop global policies, we engage with other stakeholders, and mainly we cooperate and learn from each other. So what your peers worldwide are discussing at the moment are the topics that you see right now on your screen. How to combat DNS abuse, what's going on in internet governance environment, universal acceptance, and how to make all the systems be compatible with all the TLDs. We are looking into the IANA function policy gaps that are still pending, operational practices, security and stability. These are just a few of the things that are being discussed right now. Next slide, please. To participate in the ccNSO, we have different levels. It can be either remotely or on-site during ICANN meetings. You can use the ccNSO libraries or the mailing list, which are topic-based. So you can, if you're interested, let's say in DNS abuse, there's a library, there's a mailing list, and you can get a hold of that information. Right now, one of the most important ones is this TLD Ops mailing list, which serves as a way of having a backup plan when things go wrong. You can participate in the meetings, ask questions, answer surveys, spread the word, even chair a session, present, join the council. And if you are ccNSO members, you can actually vote in our processes. And with this, please, next slide. Right now, I would like to make a call to all of you to please take note that next week we are having an event, a question and answer session with our board seat 12 candidates. This is to elect the board member that it's one of the two that we assigned in the ICANN board. So this is to all you members. It's an opportunity for you to participate, to make your voice heard. As Pablo mentioned, there are 18 out of the 30 ccTLDs of the Caribbean who are members of the ccNSO. So it's your right to be active and to make this process happen. If there are any questions regarding the voting itself, we will share these slides with you so you can have them ready. But there's the email of our nomination process manager, is Joke Breiken. And what will happen is that you will receive an email from tally@icann.org with the ballot for you to cast your vote. The votes are anonymous, but we will be tracking who is voting, not what the vote is about, but we will actually be displaying this information, as you can see in the chat. So with that, let's move on to Sean Copeland, who is the chair of the Guidelines Review Committee, to continue with the conversation.
Thank you, Alejandra, and good day, everyone. Next slide, please. So earlier, Pablo had you test out a Metimeter, and we're going to continue with that if you don't mind. So pull out your phones. And what we are looking for is how can we at the ccNSO assist you? We want your involvement, and we know for your involvement, we need to also give you value. So please take a minute and enter in your thoughts on how we can help out your ccTLD. So with technical assistant, that's actually a really good one. The TLD Ops mailing list, if you're not a member of it, is an excellent source as a gateway to information and help. You get best practices actually from people, different operators around the world, and it's a really useful resource for you. And again, training and knowledge and sharing, also we'd love to give that to you. So please reach out. Okay, another maybe 10 seconds. Training. Yeah, we can do training in a certain, or maybe a little bit different way. It's how we share information. We have this thing called Tech Day that happens on the first Monday of a session. It's not so much training as so much as sharing, but it's interactive and can be very valuable to you. So I think we will finish with this question, if that is okay. Could we go to the next question? And then this is really important to us. because we know that there's a number of people in the Caribbean, in the ccTLD world, that haven't participated in the ccNSO, and we'd like to know what's holding you back, and we'd like to figure out how we can facilitate you becoming members. Lack of awareness, that's a great thing. It's one of the reasons that Pablo brought our attention to this meeting, for us to be here. So we are making an effort. And for those of you that are participating, we thank you very much. Understand the distance and finance questions. Those are real and valuable. Okay, give it another 10 seconds if you have any more thoughts. Time schedule, that's fair too. So what we're going to do is we are going to take all this information that you've given us. We're going to share it back with you. And we're also going to look at it, and we're going to see how we can improve our interaction with you and hopefully bring more of you into the ccNSO. So thank you very much for this. Next slide. So you were talking about information resources. Here are some really good ones for you. Again, you're going to get a slide on it. There is a link for the TLD ops group. DNS abuse, which is a significant issue for us, for you to look at, both the library and the mailing list, and the universal acceptance, also really important. And the one that I like, and I think it actually kind of ties into what I've heard today a little bit, is the Internet Governance Liaison Committee, what we do there. So take a look at all of that. We would love to have you in the ccNSO, speaking on behalf of Alejandra, myself, and everyone else in the ccNSO. So with that, next slide, officially, thank you so much for listening to us. And I look forward to seeing you, hopefully in Seattle, virtually or in person. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our panelists for setting the stage, and for those excellent provision of information. We trust that the slides can be made available for us to share with the participants. So based on what you've said and what you've seen in your various capacities, what do you think are the biggest hurdles? Well, you did the poll, and you did have some suggestions on why there are some of the hindrances to participation. How do you think, and I know you'll go back and give that some thought, but what from your own observations are the biggest challenges preventing us in the Caribbean? And are you satisfied with the level of participation that you've seen? And this can go to either of the panelists with in the global communities thus far. And can you point to some of those that are most active? Not necessarily to name and shame, but say what has been working well, and what has not been. So yes, who would like to tackle that? Perhaps Sean?
Sure. Okay, I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. AJ's my boss, so if she corrects me, it's all good. The people that have been involved in the ccTLD or the ccNSO world space tend to have been involved for a while. So there's a bit of camaraderie there, friendships, relationships that go on, networking that goes on, and that's kept people in and kept people involved. We know, like, this group, and there's other groups that go on that help in networking. But there's a gap there, and we want to bridge that gap, and we want to understand what it is to encourage people to join us.
Andrea, you wanted to respond as well?
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to tackle it from the other side, as in how can you participate? Instead of what it's preventing you, I can tell you of the ways that it's easy for you to participate, in the sense of we have the resources available online, which you can look at and at your own pace and time. the mailing list as well, the working groups as well. When we have these sessions, you can join remotely. Yes, I know time zones are difficult, but sometimes it will be closer to you as it will be now in Seattle. So the time zone will be more favorable. So, and there is actually no costs associated with participating in the ccNSO. So I would like to emphasize that the entrance level it's low, as in you just need to start to get connected and follow the topics, and eventually you will get hooked, and you will be helping us in the panel next time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Pablo, did you also want to say a word on that from your own participation?
Thank you. Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Mr. Secretary, Tracy Hackshaw, and the rest of the team for coordinating this event. This is the type of event that gives us the opportunity to reach out to our Caribbean community and to collaborate in the various ways that we can and we know how. This is a fantastic opportunity to let our entire Caribbean community know that your opinion matters. It doesn't matter if you have many domain name registrations or only a handful of them. Your opinion is just as important. You belong here. We need you. We like you to be part of this, because the work that the ccNSO does represents the entire world in the measure that the world participates. And the Caribbean region is just as important as any other region. So that said, and I don't want to keep you from your social event, but that said, we would like to participate and we would like to get invited more often to this type of events in the measure that they get done. We would like to be able to help out and produce more of this type of events that are extremely valuable to the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you very much as well. Do we have any questions from the audience? This first session sets the stage. We really want to hear from the ccTLD managers themselves as well. And we'll have an opportunity in the third session to brainstorm on some of the next steps to help build this community. You heard that about the networking, which was helping to bring sort of the familiar faces back to participate, but we want to grow that network. Yes, any questions from the audience? Any questions in the room or online? Okay, no. So then, without further ado, we'll move to session 2. Thank you all very much on the first panel, and please stick around for the rest of the discussion. So I will hand over now to Professor Patrick Hosein of the TTMAG to tell us about to moderate the panel on building a stronger regional community. Over to you.
Thanks, Rodney. Before I start, I'm a ccTLD manager, and we've been a member of the ccNSO for several years now. I don't know, maybe 15 years, I guess. So I would encourage other ccTLD managers within the Caribbean to join it. It's definitely worth it. So let me get to this panel. Because of time, what I'll do is I'm going to read out the topics that we want to cover in this panel, and then I'll ask each of the panelists to give their views on each of these topics. I'll give them about 3 minutes. Afterwards, I will give some of my views, and then we could answer some questions. All right. So this panel is on building a stronger regional community. And talking mostly about the Caribbean. First, challenges and opportunities for Caribbean ccTLDs, exploring opportunities for knowledge sharing and mentorship, how we could share knowledge among ourselves. We've done some of this in the past, but it hasn't been as much as we should. Collaborating with regional and international organizations to access training resources, for instance, from ICANN. we have, again, there's a need to make better use of the resources they provide. And Albert will talk more about what they provide. In terms of advocacy and policy, discussing common policy challenges and opportunities, developing a unified regional voice on key policy issues, and finally collaborating with regional organizations to advocate for the interests of Caribbean ccTLDs. And I think this is the most important one. We need to, it's several of us in the Caribbean. We need to coordinate our efforts, collaborate, and have a bigger voice in the international domain or international space domain as well. Because we could have a bigger voice, but we need to collaborate more. And this collaboration, over the years, we've had different efforts to form some sort of Caribbean TLD type group. And I think there's something we need to pursue more. But before, and I have more to say, but let me give the other panelists an opportunity to respond or give their views on each of these topics. I'm not sure who's online, but I'll go according to the list I have here. So let's start with Mr. Clifford Bosick. If you could introduce yourself, give some of your background, and then give your views on the topics I mentioned just now. Okay, so let's go to .ai, Mr. Damien Harrigan.
Not speaking. Yeah, he's there and speaking.
Damien, are you there? Okay, so Damien, what we'll do is test your audio. We'll come back to you in a minute. How about Mr. Leendert Pengel from Curacao?
Yeah, hi, I'm here. Thank you for the invitation and to participate in such an important forum. I was a little bit surprised by the presentation, especially on the numbers of members that are associated with the ccNSO, but also the LATTLD, which is Latin American and Caribbean top-level domain organization as well. And one of the points that I had noted is that's very important for us as let's say Caribbean island. And in our case, it's I also heard it in the previous presentation. It's very interesting. Our position as Curacao being part of the Dutch Kingdom. So you're in the Caribbean, but it's seen as being part of Europe. But it also puts on it in a special position. But my main thing is it's important to be part of at least the mailing list that was mentioned for the ccNSO, but also for the other ones, like being part of the LACNIC, which is also a Latin American and Caribbean NIC in this case. It's important for when we are looking for information about knowledge training. There are several opportunities in there for training, especially if you want some technical things on, let's say, IPv6 or whatever. There are trainings that you can, as manager or your team, can follow for free. And so when you're talking about sharing knowledge, that is one of the possibilities. So I believe one of the things is to start with, be part of a mailing list and try to become members, because as you also mentioned, Mr. Hosein, our ccTLD is a member of the ccNSO, I think also around 14, 15 years. And you are, you will be held on top of development and will be able to participate also. So So yeah, just to be short for now, I think that it's very important to belong to something of one of these organizations. And the other thing I was thinking about, and that would be like, just as the ccNSO is part of the ICANN, maybe we should think also maybe an organization that really has the Caribbean islands as TLDs, and and work together in a smaller group, like being part of LATLD, for instance, and to work out things that matter, especially in our region. So that is one idea I would like to share for now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pengel. So the next, let's hear from Mr. Charles Noir from St. Maarten.
So can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Noir. I'm actually from CIRA, the Canadian Internet Registration Authority. Maybe is there a confusion is there another Charles Noir in the group? No. Okay, I'll share some ideas that have come to mind. Obviously, coming from Canada, our view has tended to be focused on being the .ca operator. So some of what I'll share is experience as the .ca operator. Essentially, what I'd like to bring your attention to, in addition to what folks have covered in terms of LATLD and a number of organizations, Canada CIRA has done a lot of work over the past year and a half on something called a Technical Community Coalition for Multi-Stakeholderism. It's tccm.global. And what this is a number of technical operators from across the globe. So registries, top-level domain regional groups, registrars, registries for internet numbers, and other service providers at the heart of the internet and the technical community coming together to participate in and advocate for policy related to the WSIS Plus 20 review that's underway in the United Nations. For those of you, you're likely aware, folks on the call, I won't get into too much of the history, but why we have an Internet Governance Forum, for example, and how that was created is related to two processes, a number of processes, but two in particular in 2003 and 2005. It was reviewed in 2010 and is now coming up for review again in 2025. And I'd say in terms of sharing knowledge or collaborating in this space, in the policy space, in the international policy space, that community itself is something that's available for critical internet infrastructure operators to join and meet the group that we were talking about earlier in terms of CCs, Gs, and registries and registrars. And I would say that's an opportunity really to leverage that community to begin that expansion that you might be thinking about in terms of making connections into the broader international network that is working, I think, quite well to represent the needs that we have as domain registrars, as managers of ccTLDs. Obviously, the ICANN work at the beginning, the discussion about the ccNSO is very important, and that's certainly a place to do so. I'm just offering folks to have a look at the tccm.global. Take a look at our statement. You'll get a sense of our mission and purpose within the context of the WSIS Plus 20. We are looking to defend and advocate for multi-stakeholderism and to be heard as a technical community. We do have representation across every region globally, and some good friends that are on the call right here. I know Dr. Rodriguez and .pr are on board, and you'll see some other folks there if you go to the website tccm.global. That could be certainly something to think about on a more practical level if you're looking to engage in this international process. They can often feel quite overwhelming, and if we're coming together, we can share information, positions, and have a more concentrated, louder voice within that context. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Next, Mr. Max Henry. Max and I go back several years now. Didn't realize he's still around. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, that's when we are getting very old, very old. So, sorry. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations, Dr. Hosein, for your award, and glad to see so familiar faces. My name is Max Larson Henry. I'm the technical contact of .ht since its redelegation back in 2004, so a long time ago. I have also to mention that we have been a member of the ccNSO for a long time, more than 10 years. And what we do appreciate by being a member of ccNSO is being part of this network. Whenever we face some challenges, we know that we can, take our phone and drop an email or call someone to discuss about some issues. And also the knowledge sharing part is very, very important, as well as the shared service and infrastructure that we typically do between members. So regarding the topics at hand, I will first of all talk about the knowledge sharing between ccTLDs from the Caribbean region. In the Caribbean context, I think ccTLD can benefit from deeper, stronger collaboration with more established ones. Through participation in knowledge sharing programs, they can improve their technical and operational capacity and contribute to regional growth. For example, we have seen significant growth in the number of internet exchange points in the Caribbean due to collaboration between various organizations, CTU, CaribNOG, other content delivery networks, ISP associations, civil society organizations such as Internet Society chapters, also ARIN, LACTLD, LACNIC, and true multi-stakeholder approach. So based on these successful results, it's safe to believe that similar collaborations in the ccTLD space would yield comparable, if not greater, results. Joint initiatives such as hosting copies of food servers at local internet exchange points, hosting ccTLD servers within these IXPs, hosting secondary DNS service for ccTLD, can have profound impact on both internet access and the overall quality of internet infrastructure and services within our region. These initiatives not only improve network resilience, but also can contribute to the development of a more robust and reliable internet within the Caribbean region. Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Is Mr. Clifford Bostic on now? Okay, let's, how about Mr. Damien Harrigan? Were you able to sort out your audio?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Apologies for the technical mishap earlier. Thank you so much for letting me join this esteemed panel this afternoon. Damien Harrigan from Anguilla, telecoms regulator. For us with that AI, Anguilla being one of the smaller Caribbean islands, it was difficult for us to have to dedicate human resources to managing the ccTLD, especially since it wasn't really generating much revenues at the time. So we would have contracted the management and administration out to third parties. Hence, that probably explain why we're not as active in the region, ccNSO and so forth. But I was a little surprised just now to see the graphic from Pablo, which align Anguilla with Europe. When in reality, because of our position, we are mostly aligned with Latin America and North America. So we do receive correspondences from LACNIC regularly. So I would want to think that that's where we are located. I guess we'll have to look into that. But for us, what we found to be lacking in our space is just the knowledge and the capabilities, the technical capabilities. And after sitting on a couple of meetings with CTU and so forth, you see how you really learn a lot from regional sharing. And I too would like to see, something happening on a smaller scale Caribbean-wise where we can share and get more involved. Again, I get correspondences from the LACNIC, but that is so big. You have other big Latin American countries involved and so forth. So you kind of get lost in there. So it'd be nice to have a conversation in the region to just, we can align and see where we can take this. And of course, I'm pretty sure most of the countries in the region have the same issues, the written policies with regards to the internet, to DNS and so forth, where we don't have a lot of experience in that space. So I can definitely see where, collaboration in the region can help a lot.
Thanks, Damien. Is Clifford on? No? Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but let me just give my views on things. Yeah, definitely we need to collaborate more. We need to have a more international voice from the Caribbean region. And the question is, why haven't we been able to do it, over the years? I've been the ccTLD manager for .TT for the last 30 plus years. I've seen changes within the Caribbean, but we haven't been able to collaborate. One of the reasons I think is if you look at Trinidad, and I'm blowing my own horn here, the reason we were able to have a TTMAG and for TTMAG to sponsor or organize TTIGF is because TTNIC, and you see all the TTs here, right? You see TTNIC went ahead, about 10 years ago to form the group and support it financially. The hope is for them to be self-sustaining, but hopefully we get to that. But for events like this, they do get quite a bit of assistance, but TTNIC has to top it up, right? Now, if the other islands did something similarly, where the ccTLDs support maybe a MAG, a local MAG, or some organization, and then these organizations could then cooperate or collaborate among themselves within the region. Because if you have multiple contacts within an island, it's difficult to do any kind of collaboration. If you have a single point of contact, some sort of a MAG, then it becomes a little bit easier. And then you could take it from there. You get the regional collaboration, and from that, now you have a bigger international voice. So that is what I'm hoping we can do. We can have, I know there's LAC TLD, but I believe we should have a Caribbean TLD as well, to be able to better organize ourselves. In addition, what I would like to see is some of the things, TTNIC does as well could be done in the other islands, and we are willing to help them. Things like providing websites and domains for all educational institutions. I mean, we do that pro bono. Hopefully someday the government takes it over, but so far we do it. And we sponsor quite a bit of research as well. So you saw the talk by Letitia. That's part of our lab, TT Lab, and that some of that funding, for to attend conferences, etc., comes from TTNIC as well. So what I'm trying to say is that we are very willing to assist other islands, other ccTLDs in not only forming a MAG, but using resources to help the island in various ways. Thanks. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to invite Tracy to come up in the interest of time to give the wrap-up session to bring everything home. Thank you very much, Patrick. Albert is going to come up as well because he's part of this next steps discussion. And thank you very much for your leadership on the TTNIC and for the continued support of the TTMAG and setting the example. Yeah. Oh, sorry. There's a question online. Okay. Please, let's take the question online and then move to session 3. Please go ahead. Pablo, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Mr. Secretary. Thanks, Patrick, for a great session. And it is fantastic to see so many friendly faces. Damien, Leendert, Max, and so many of you, Tracy, and so on. Damien, I want you to know that you're right. We need to come together and know more about each other and help out each other. Patrick, absolutely. There is a LAC-TLD. And LAC-TLD is fantastic and it does a lot of help. But it is great also if the Caribbean TLD community comes together and works together, and the more the merrier. If we can bring people like Maureen Hillard from the other side of the world, according to our perspective, she could be great help. And she's an islander too. She's got plenty of similar stories to share with us, as well as each one of us. Remember what I said. The one thing that we have in common is that we register 2-character domain names. After that, we have different registry models, different governance models. We do what works for us. I will not come here to preach to you that my way of doing business is better than yours and you should adapt to the way I do business. I have some particularities of my ecosystems that allows me to do certain things. You need to look into your external and internal ecosystems and see what works for you. But you know, our strength is based on how many of us can come together. We can liberate each other. We can help each other. I may not know how to solve the problem that you may have, but I may know someone who does. So we can use each other to collaborate and to find information and to network in places such as Leendert mentioned, Tech Day, such as Max also mentioned, Tech Day, the subscribing to the email list, subscribing to the newsletters, participating in all of these events, and participating in all of these organizations, whether it's LACNIC, LAC-TLD, our own Caribbean Association, the various ISA chapters, and as well as the ccNSO and other places. Let's participate everywhere. Let our voice be heard. Our opinion is important. Our opinion enriches what all these other associations are trying to do, and they will not be able to achieve their objectives to their maximum potential if we're not there. So I invite every one of us to collaborate with each other, to engage more with each other. I think the CTU is a fantastic place that could be a repository where we can all come together. So more power to us, you know, good stuff for the Caribbean region, and this is a great start. Thank you all.
All right, thank you too, Patrick. So we'll go straight to session 3, which is Max as well. Okay, Max. We'll have to close with Max though and move to session.
Sorry about that. It will be a very short one. Just to mention that we can spend a lot of time discussing about all the challenges that we are facing as Caribbean islands. But what we can do is really to leverage what we already have. I remember during the last ICANN meeting in Puerto Rico, we had a very interesting meeting between small islands. Remember that? I can see a lot of you guys, like more than 10 in this meeting that was part of this meeting. So what we can do is to leverage existing meetings, like when we go to ICANN, to ccNSO meetings. Also, every year there is a CaribNOG meeting. We can leverage those meetings to meet as ccTLD ecosystem in the Caribbean, and then discuss about our issues and how we can collaborate together and make our voice heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You also have a home in the Caribbean IGF, the longest standing IGF globally. We'd be happy to give you a space there as well. So Tracy, what's next? You're the action man.
All right. I'm glad you said that. So in the Caribbean, we like to talk plenty, right? So we're talking, talk today, talk 2007, talk 2018, I think 2014, talking 2025, talking. But we didn't see anything happening yet, right? So let me ask a question. In this room, of those who have websites, whether you have your company website or personal, etc., how many are using a ccTLD? Right. Good. So that's three. All right. Online. Good. So this is let's call this a converted room, right? The key is, how do we get this message out to everybody else? So in terms of not just that ccTLDs exist, but what they can do for the country and the Caribbean, etc. Both in terms of things like resilience, working as some sort of national asset, branding, identification, whatever you want to call it. So many things that we can do to get that going, and maybe utilizing the mind share that's in this room, virtual otherwise, to help with that. So one of the things I want to start proposing is that we find a way to, we can talk as well. We like to talk, but let's wrap our minds around some activity and work together on that. So I would propose, not wanting to take the first step necessarily, but how do we promote our top level, our ccTLDs in our countries to become what I see happening in other countries like Germany, Canada, even I'm based in Switzerland, North Switzerland, China, where the ccTLD seems to be the dominant website extension, the top level domain. Why is that not happening in the Caribbean? Right, so we have Canada online, so maybe they can explain why .ca is so popular in Canada. Maybe they can help with that. Not now, but I'm saying in a session that we could talk about that together. Let's find some action points to work around. Also, as Patrick actually said, let's find a way to work together on doing things that, raise the profile of the ccTLD in your own country. So in your country, you have things like you can do like a multi-stakeholder group, like what we do here. You can do an IGF, you can do something, a conference. What else can we do to raise the profile that you exist, you're here, and you're also here to help your country? What can we do to do things like around that? Throwing a couple ideas for us to chat about. And also, what is missing? What do you think is missing from all this talking we've been doing? We've been talking a lot, but why is it not gelling? Why, when Patrick comes and says we've talked a lot for 30 years, but we're not working together? And finally, I wanted to, as for all before I hand over to Albert, the issue about the back-end registries and the software that's running it. Is there a discussion to be had about working together as a region to try and find a solution that's fit for purpose for what we can do? So if you are running, I guess, a multi-million-dollar registry, okay, maybe you want to use something that costs multi-millions of dollars, but maybe if you're running something very small, do you want to use something that's homegrown? Do you want to do something that's, more fit for purpose, more at scale, something that's built built with your people in the Caribbean? What about things like that? Looking at projects like that and seeing how we can work together to drive innovation and drive some level of utilizing what we have as an asset and taking it beyond the fact that it's just a website extension and using it to move beyond that. So having said that, I'll just hand over to Albert now for some thoughts. Albert is from ICANN and he has the wherewithal, I would imagine, to help us drive this. So Albert, over to you to
Thank you very much,
capitalize.
Tracy. Thank you very much. Full disclosure, first of all, maybe about 11, 12 years ago, I may have been up as one of the ccTLD managers as well, because I used to manage .lc, which is a ccTLD for St. Lucia. And it's very interesting to have seen the situation from the side of a ccTLD manager, and now to be seeing it from the other side, which is from the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. It's useful to understand some of what has gone before. And as Tracy started mentioning, there have been several efforts to get the ccTLD managers across the Caribbean to collaborate with each other. And I think to make a long story short, two keywords we need to focus on are community collaboration. And as you heard from several speakers, the ccTLD managers is a community that is very willing to help each other. Once you join that community, start meeting, start collaborating, you find, and particularly Damien would be happy to hear this, that all of the managers want to help other managers. And let's see what happened back. And Pablo has a lot to be thanked for with regard to the first opportunity that the ccTLD managers had to get together. In 2007, at ICANN 29, there was a special meeting of all of the ccTLD managers at that meeting from the Caribbean. And you had presentations by people like Dr. Patrick Lay, who runs the .ag for Antigua. And what did they speak about? He spoke about the different ways that you manage a ccTLD, the different models that could be used, a commercial model, the education model, whether it's open and allowing persons from all over the world to register, whether it's only local entities that are registered. And what happened at the end of that meeting? I mean, I was one of the ccTLD managers. We all exchanged business cards, the usual thing, and we promised and we committed to stay in touch and to work together. That happened maybe for the first 3 weeks after the ICANN meeting. And then the usual thing, we stopped talking to each other. Nothing more happened. Again, in 2014, the CTU ICANN collaborated with at the Bahamas at the CIGF. We brought a few ccTLD managers there, same thing. We did some capacity building. We spoke about how we could work together, exchange all the business cards, had some drinks, promised to stay in contact. A few weeks later, everything went dead again. And actually in 2019 in Puerto Rico, ICANN had an event which was at DNS Fora, and we actually paid to bring some of the Caribbean ccTLD managers there. Same thing for a third time. We spent some time, did some capacity building, exchanged the business cards, and nothing happened. So all of that to say, it really takes some strong commitment, some identification of what is important to the ccTLD managers. ICANN's role is to facilitate. We have the ccNSO within the ICANN ecosystem, and a lot happens there. There was a question asked earlier, which are the Caribbean countries that have been participating more in the ccNSO. And who do you have? You have countries like Belize, St. Kitts has been participating, Antigua, Dr. Patrick Lay has been there, the Dominican Republic, the Cayman Islands is an interesting group. When the Cayman Islands goes to an ICANN meeting, they have 1 or 2 people in the ccNSO, they have one in the GAC, they have the GAC. These are just different areas of ICANN which represent the different communities. So the point here again is collaboration. You go with a large group, or you go not necessarily with a large country group, but with a large Caribbean group, and then you can cover different areas, and participate in what's going on. Also, in the ccNSO, you've had Grenada, Barbados, Guyana, and of course, Puerto Rico and Haiti. And even at a higher level, you've had Dr. Patrick there are two Patricks. So Patrick Hosein has been a member of the governing body of the ccNSO, the ccNSO Council. And also from Haiti, we've had Christelle Vaval in leadership positions on the ccNSO, very influential positions, opportunities for the Caribbean's voice to be heard. So one of the big recommendations that I would make is to see how we can collaborate more. I say we, as a Caribbean, if you're going to an ICANN meeting, if you are in an event where there are other Caribbean ccTLD managers, let's see how we can work together. Let's see how we can make connections. Let's see how we can help each other. And perhaps I will pause at this point, maybe to hear a little bit more from the others, but it's very important for us to collaborate as a Caribbean community when it comes to the ccTLD management.
All right, so let's take some feedback from our audience online and on the floor. So not seeing any hands. Yes, is that Damien's hand up? Yes, Damien.
Yes, just to add to what Albert was saying, in Anguilla, the problem we have is, there's no one person assigned to the role. It's just a function that's attached to someone who already has a million other functions. So you may see us popping into a meeting and we exchange business cards and so forth, but when we go back to country, then you might not get the opportunity to interact again because that might drop in somebody else's lap who's available at the time. So we definitely need to do some work in country and establishing a proper unit to deal with this. Yeah.
So let's take Pablo and then Leendert, Pengel.
Thank you, Tracy. And look, actually, Tracy, you touch on you identify several important points that I completely believe that should be part of the agenda in the next set of events that I hopefully will have soon. And one of them has to do with who are we? I continue to hammer on the one thing that we have in common is what? We register 2-character domain names. But what the type of governance model that you have, if you're government, if you're academia, or you're a private entity, will dictate the way that you do business. So a one-size-fits-all does not work for the ccTLD operators. We need to find those points in which we can come together and help out each other. But how can we improve the number of domain name registrations that is driven by the governance model and by other things that obviously we will discuss in that coming soon meeting? So let's keep that in mind. And another thing that I want to touch upon is that for those of us that have looked for backend providers, I'm a small ccTLD, and so don't be shy. Explore all your opportunities. There are opportunities for homegrown ccTLD operations. There are opportunities for backend providers. There are opportunities for everyone. You need to look at your external environment, your internal environment, and see what works. But all of these things, we can discuss that too. That should be another topic that we should have in that coming soon event and have that discussion too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And remember, looking for concrete actions. So thank you, Pablo, for that suggestion. Maybe you can find a way to host us in some sort of event going forward. I have two more hands up. I have Leendert, Pengel, and Cuba. So let's take Leendert, Pengel.
Yeah, I will make it very short. It's just something as a reaction to what Damien was experiencing. We as academia do the administration. We are the registry for CW. However, it's important to have partnerships like we have now with a tier 4 data center, which is very known. It's profiling now in the Caribbean, which is the Blue Nap Americas, and especially on the technical issues, they support us in that. We have a collaboration, but also internationally, being part of the Dutch Kingdom brings us also an opportunity to work together with SIDN, which is a large, let's say, data center also for the Netherlands, but has a very large multicast network, of which we can also, we are making use of DNS services for our secondary and primary. So I think, you cannot have everything maybe in your own team, but working with whatever opportunity of our options that you have locally, as we also have with the local telco for internet connectivity. That's a way of going to with collaboration. So that's what I wanted to say. It's not always that you have the option as a ccTLD manager to have all the skills that you require, or to at least the technical people in your organization. However, you can make use of what is available on the island or international, and you will see that there are a lot of people that would like to support you as a Contico top-level domain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Curacao. Again, looking for concrete actions, so hopefully you can help with that. Krupa Shah.
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you to TTMAG and Mr. Rodney Taylor for inviting me here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Krupa, and I am with Identity Digital. We support over 450 TLDs globally, but we are a registry services provider for many TLDs in the Caribbean, including .pr, .ag, .lc, and .ai, amongst others. I'm here to share some observations based on what I've heard so far, and I've heard some comments about having a reliable network in the Caribbean, more collaboration, maybe a need for some international voices, etc. The Caribbean has its own unique challenges when we talk about resilience and collaboration and resource allocation, as we've heard some of the other speakers here say. And in the future, perhaps a session that we can come together on is building a resilience network in the Caribbean of operators who can actually rely on each other and how they can rely on each other in times of distress. So when a hurricane slams your country and say takes power down for hours, if not days, are your websites or emails or domain names that are behind your government services, banks, utilities, etc., will they keep working? The world in general, people in these countries in general, expect these critical services, this infrastructure, to simply just work 100% of the time. And so resiliency in general is a key component to the continued operation of the internet, the Caribbean included. And I think, and my recommendation is that we think about resilience. And what does a resilience network mean for countries in the Caribbean? This perhaps is a workshop for a future session, but in my opinion, is going to be required nevertheless. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Krupa. And maybe there's a way we could combine all of the ideas that have just come out. I'm seeing Albert taking up the mantle for doing exactly that. So I'm going to pass to Albert, who will actually summarize all of those ideas, and we're perhaps asking ICANN maybe to take the lead in sort of coordinating this effort. How about that?
Sorry to disappoint you, Tracy. I'm adding another idea. Well, I was waiting to see if somebody else would mention it. Jacqueline knows what I'm about to say. In the Latin American Caribbean region, there is another organization called LACTLD. And LACTLD is established, it was established in 1998, essentially to help the ccTLDs in Latin America and the Caribbean. And I think one of the key points that has come out this afternoon is that we need to perhaps go a little bit deeper than LAC-TLD, which is covering Latin America and the broad Caribbean, and focus on an organization for the Caribbean, specifically at our level in the Caribbean. Little effort has been made in that in the past. We tried, I know Jacqueline put in a serious amount of effort into getting a mailing list started and so on. I think last night we were talking, I don't think we had WhatsApp yet. All right. Otherwise, we would have had a WhatsApp group. But perhaps that is one additional area that we can look at, one additional idea. I don't know that it is the role of the ICANN organization to push this. I think this is something that really needs to be driven by the stakeholders. The ccTLD managers have to decide for themselves that they want this and that they are willing to put in the effort on a consistent basis to actually maintain it. ICANN will be there to support. I mean, as we are doing now. Within the ICANN ecosystem, you have a space, and ICANN will continue to provide that. And from my perspective as stakeholder engagement manager in the Caribbean, I'll do everything that I can to see how we can gel the Caribbean together at our ICANN public meetings. Typically, I try to get the Caribbean groups together. You know this. You've been there at most of those sessions where we try from a social standpoint to develop the relationships amongst all those, not just the ccTLD managers who are there from the Caribbean. But I think it's something that has to be led by the ccTLD managers in the Caribbean. They have to stand up and move forward and say, we want this, and we are going to move forward with it.
Right. So I heard from Albert that the next step is that he's going to help us with supporting, coordinating the next step going forward, even though it's coming from us, that there's going to be some catalyzing element from Albert Daniels of ICANN.
Absolutely. I'll continue to do that. And that's what I've been doing for years with the Caribbean, trying to bring us together.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Say your name.
Yes,
Dev.
yes. Thanks very much, Tracy. Hosein, TTMAG. Tracy has made a point that you want some things that work, right? One of my favorite mantras is that you will achieve what you've never achieved before, only when you do what you've never done before. Rodney Taylor said that several conferences that went, and he quoted years, they exchange call cards. I have also exchanged many call cards. And I came back home with a pile of call cards, went in an old wallet, and eventually I threw away the old wallet and the call cards. So my new strategy now is to develop what I have. If I go to a conference, what I have, let's get this back. What I have, what I have is a QR code of my V card. So what I do, I ask the person to scan it. They call me, I get their number one time. I do not use call cards anymore. It saves on printing and it saves on the efficiency. And if you are the person who is the manager of a WhatsApp chat or whatever, as you get the person information, you add them to the group one time. I hate to be doing something twice. That is, getting somebody information and sometimes get posted anywhere. Okay, it saves my time, and my time is my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dev. So I heard you're volunteering to create QR codes for everyone. That's what I heard, right? So
if you want me to, anything you ask me to do, Tracy, I do it too.
Brilliant. So with that, of course, I'm just, well, no, not joking actually, but you know it is. So Albert helping, motivating, catalyzing, Dev G driving some technology. With that, I think we're getting somewhere, which is good. So I'm going to toss back to SG Taylor to kind of give us maybe another step forward in his wrap up. SG?
Thank you very much. Now, I would simply put the offer on the table that the CTU can help in the organization if the ccTLD managers believe that it will be helpful to have a Carib TLD. We can help by providing secretariat services, by helping you to organize the meeting. We don't need to be all in your space, but we're saying we can help facilitate. You can come together, maybe elect a chair or president, whatever you want to call that person, who can help in terms of the coordination, the technical cooperation. And we would simply convene the meetings for you on your own schedule, on your own time. If you want to meet 4 times a year virtually, once out of those 4 times, maybe once in person at a CIGF or a TTIGF or one of the IGFs in the region, and we would support as best we can. We have a youth network. Maybe we can get one of the young persons to help to coordinate that and bring the resources together that you need to help organize that meeting. So I'll put that offer on the table. We can help until it's at the point of viability where you don't need us at all. You can organize and call the meetings and collaborate on your own. And of course, when we meet at ICANN or when we meet at IT or any of these other spaces, we're happy to help coordinate and support your work there as well. So let me end by expressing my appreciation to the TTMAG and TTIGF for giving us the space in the first IGF in the world, right? I don't think there's anyone before this one in the calendar. That's my understanding. It's the first for the year, good. For the year, yes, for the year. We're the longest standing, I know, but that's all right. But thank you very much. It's been good. And I'm happy that we're able to get such distinguished panelists together. So please give everyone a round of applause. And who am I handing over for the final wrap up of the TTIGF? Would that be?
I believe it's Dev Hosein, Chair-elect of the TTMAG.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Dev Hosein.
Do it from there or here? Okay, good, yeah.
All right, it's not that the light, the room is very bright, but these are the only tested sheets that I have right now. So, all right, good afternoon, everyone. And we have had a really very, very impressive 2 days. And making this possible was our partners. And I would like to believe that they are our life partners. I would first like to recognize the Network Information Center, TTNIC. You've been awesome. The Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, TAT. Latin American and Caribbean Network Information Center, LACNIC. The Caribbean Telecommunications Union, CTU. The Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. R&R Ramjatan AV IT Services Limited. Thank you. You all are awesome. The Internet Society, Trinidad and Tobago Charter, iStock and Airlink Communications. They are the persons who pump the blood into our veins. Without them, we would be dead, literally. I would like to now express profound gratitude to the persons who we have spent hours listening to for the last couple of days. And these people are, we'd like to express special gratitude to Mr. Corey Belfon, Permanent Secretary, the Ministry of Digital Transformation, who spoke on behalf of the Minister of Education, his Honorable Minister Bacchus. We'd like to express gratitude again to Ms. Sally Wentworth, President and Chief Executive Officer, Internet Society of the Society of Internet Society Foundation. Mr. John Aldridge, who has graced us with his presence on several presentations this year. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Trinidad and Tobago International Finance Center. Mr. Javed Sajjad, Artificial Intelligence Legal and Policy Consultant, LACNIC. And then we had later in that morning, Dr. Andrew Hunt, Chairman, National Institute of the Higher Education Research, Science and Technology, NIHUST. Dr. Lev Ronik, Chief Information Officer of the Arizona State University. And I was very impressed. So some really, really interesting. Now the other presentation didn't have anything that interested me. But this one stood out in terms of, because it's new technology and of course, introducing the AI in some of the things that they're doing. And then we went on to see a star boy by the name of Ajmal Najjar, who single-handedly ran a presentation on cybersecurity in Trinidad and Tobago. And trust me, it was a lot of information. Aj, you were impressive. It takes a lot to impress me. And then this morning we had a youth session on, it's actually on bullying in the cyber age. And I want to give a big shout out to RSC, Restore a Sense of ICANN. They outdid themselves this morning. It was a session. We had over 100 students. We had about 40 or 50 something schools in attendance. And this, I should mention that the schools only notified about this less than 24 hours ago. Okay. And the participation was phenomenal. And they use AI, they presented it using avatars. They even had breakout sessions where the students go and they could interact with the avatars themselves. It was truly an impressive, and I'm sure I'm going to leave a permanent remembrance of today's activity. Then this afternoon, our star again, Aj, as I always call him, had a presentation this morning with Mr. John Outridge again, Ian T. Allen, and Shiva Bisasa. John, again, is the Chief Executive Officer of TTIFC. Ian Allen, founder of Paywise, and Shiva is the Managing Director of Pinaka Consulting Limited. And then this afternoon, of course, you're all here for that. I can see the room full up now. Because of the snacks, so we're going to get later. But I don't know, I just, I'm glad to see all you. We had the moderator, Julie, our very own Julie David, and the presenter, Letitia Addison. And congratulations again, Letitia, on your accomplishments. And it's a wonderful presentation. We have much more to talk about later. She's the adjunct lecturer of the School of Science, Computing and Artificial Intelligence at UWI. And then I must give some appreciation to the coffee break. We don't take anything for granted here. And then we had another session by the CTU, and I shook Rodney's hand because of his benevolence, we are here at CTU today. So give Rodney Charles a round of applause. Accelerating this involvement of Caribbean ccTLDs within the global ccTLD communities. There's a tongue twister way. And we had Rodney, again, thank you very much for your participation. And I know you always have a passion for activities. When we first met in Barbados many years ago. And then we had Dr. Pablo Rodriguez. Pablo, I can see your passion in what you're delivering. He's the Executive Vice President of Gauss Research Laboratory Incorporated and GRC member. Claudia Ruiz, who was also a member of ccNSO. Alejandra Reynoso. She gave a very good perspective. And of course, our very own Dr. Patrick Hosein, who had a panelist, Mr. Clifford Bostic. Well, I think he was absent. Damien, Harrigan, Leendert, Pengel, and Max Larson. And of course, our very own, always here from ICANN, Albert Daniel. Thank you very much for your usual support. I know I could count on you. I always look forward to meeting you at all these IGFs and all these other international meetings and whatnot. So again, I am Dev Hosein. I just want to wish, more importantly, all of you, all our participants, because all of this would have gone to zero if you all weren't here, weren't participating, weren't contributing. Let me ask you to save the date. I don't know the date, but I'll give you the formula, because you'll forget numbers, okay? The formula is January 2026, the last Friday and the last Thursday. Okay? Look out for the notice about TTIGF 2026. Thank you all very much. You have been a wonderful audience. My throat is dry. I'm going to do something about it now. Have a good evening.
Take care, all. It was great to see you.
Bye all. Bye-bye. Bye everyone online.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for sharing.